See if anybody pops in. It works. All right. Let me log back in and everything, and we'll get some people in here. Welcome to the live stream. Technical difficulties and all. What's up, Adrian? Adrian G. That's me too, bro. Trying to get my iPad to cooperate. All right, hopefully everybody comes over from the other stream. I had like, I don't know, nothing was going right. I had to restart it. And now my iPad's acting up. So yeah, per usual, I'll let you know, people stop in. Give it a few minutes. See what angle I can get in here. Working on the van setup. I'm actually putting stuff away right now. Trying to keep it neat and organized. I've been dropping videos. Probably going to be daily of different pack out setups, you know, that are not full videos. And then if I have time, we will get a van tour, because people have been asking me how I'm using the, you know, the pack out setups, different things that I've been putting together. And I really keep it as simplified as I can. Getting the van the way I want it without having to do any like heavy modifications. So let me see. I'm gonna pull up the chat right now. Hold on. And let me know if the audio drops out or anything. I think I have decent signal out here. My iPad, on the other hand. All right. All right, so there's people coming in. So like I said, welcome to the Reliable HVACR live stream on YouTube. If you can't stay for the whole show, or watching it at a later time and you don't want to watch the whole video, it is a podcast. Remember that. Go listen on Spotify or anything or anywhere that you listen to podcasts and whatnot. All right, so audio is good. Trying to get my chat to show up. So yeah, I got back at a decent time. I was out of town for work today. Made it back at a decent time. If not, I wouldn't be able to do the live stream, but here we are. So we're good. All right, here we go. Miguel, what's up? Tech Tie, here we go. Yeah, still new to this stuff, so it's gonna be something as I go. I learn how to do all this stuff. So Steve's in the house. Van looks good. Appreciate it. Randy, I've seen you use Economaster motors for your HVAC repairs. They seem pretty good motors, because I actually have one on my Miller package because the original GE condenser fan motor died. So yeah, he's talking about those Economasters. Those are the common ones that I carry. These are the common ones that I carry. They just sit on the shelf there. Quarter Well, this is a universal one. It's 1/3 to 1/6, which is usually what I work on. 1075 and 208. So super most common one that I use. I just go in there and I tell them I need a 1075. They have these right at the front. Everybody grabs them. Just slide them on there. Adrian, those LED lights are fire. These were actually recommended to me by HVAC Life 101. If you guys are on Instagram, I think he started a YouTube channel too, but I don't know if he's had time to do anything. But I saw his van that he's working on, and he's doing a similar setup, but he has a much bigger van, like a taller one or something. And he made the walls like complete pack out mounted. So I thought that was cool. And then I noticed his lights, and I was like, hey, I need something to light up my van because it gets really dim in here. And they're off Amazon. So put those in. I'm not done with them. They're just held on by wire nuts right now. But I wanted to test them, and it actually lights up very well. So it comes in, I think it's like 20, no, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 20 of these little pieces that are together. You cut them and size them out how you need them. And got them going all the way to the front. Got my pack out tower right there. Recovery tanks on that side. Pack out tower. And then that Vito little storage wall there. You hang it on the, or wherever you want to. It has different ways to mount it. You can hang it. You can drill and kind of mount it with screws. That holds all my, like, well, not my cleaners, but that's my leak detector, the bubbles, some cans like of oil, and that stuff you spray on like the coils if you're trying to seal them from salt water and all that, because I'm about 2 hours from the coast, so once we get closer that way I have to use that to coat my coils and different things. I do have, and that's where I was. So I recorded some units that were falling apart. I don't think I posted them yet anywhere, but I recorded a little bit. And somebody sprayed all the coils, right? So the coils are not rusted out, but the whole unit, everything that's metal, is falling apart. They had a makeup air unit that was just toppled over and falling in. And then their front AC actually had to be tarped off because it was there was already holes going through, like I think in the compressor compartment. So you can see straight through to the under the roof or under the unit. And anytime it rained, they started getting a bunch of water inside. So then right now it's tarped off, and we basically had to condemn it for now. Surprisingly, they have not approved a new unit. I think we already quoted, let's see, 1, 2, they're gonna need 3 new package units in their trains. One of them was recently replaced, and on that one I think they did coat it. I offered to coat it, so I probably would have done a little more to protect it, but it's the hail guards and everything are already rusted out. So they need 3 package units. They need to be cautious with that new one that's not even, or maybe it's a year old. And then they have 3 walk-ins that are falling apart, and their makeup air. It's like the salt water just got to it. It's all rusted out. Randy, the original GE fan condenser, or condenser fan motor on my unit was actually 1/8 horsepower, and the new one is 1/4. And it seems like it works okay, but does the horsepower actually matter? Yes. I guess yes and no. Like I said, on these, there's a range on them. So this one is 1/3 to 1/6. If you have a, what did you say, a 1/8? You just have to make sure it's pulling enough air out. The only way you're gonna know that, you said it was a package AC. You just gotta make sure it's pulling air. I don't know if it just has one motor or if it has several. If one is not pulling as much as the other, there's gonna be a little bit of an issue there. And then sometimes, like if it's blowing air out and all that, then maybe you'll get away with it. Like you said, if it works, it works. That happens a lot. But if, like one time I accidentally put in the wrong horsepower, but it wasn't, like it had the right the RPMs were the same and everything, but I guess I or I didn't read it right. The only issue I had was that it wouldn't spin the blade because the blade was too heavy for the motor that I put in. I think I put in like a quarter or something, or one of these, and it was actually like a 1/2 horsepower motor. So the smaller one that I put in, I mean, they all look the same. They're all the same size physically. It's just the horsepower, right? Even though it was the same style, the same RPM, based on the horsepower, it could not turn the blade because the blade was so heavy. So then I learned it that way, like, you know, make sure you check the horsepower. But if they're like, if it's not that far off, it could work. Like universal ones, it gives you a range. So it doesn't have to be on the dot, but it's always best to go with the original or very close to it. The only thing is, like, yeah, it won't spin as well, handle the blade, or, you know, something like that. Fernando, I'm from Fort Worth area. I was wondering if you know of any trade shows that come to Texas. Actually, I'm not sure. I was going to look into that too, because I want to go to the AHR Expo, but that's in Atlanta. You know, I made it to the Vegas one last time, but I'm not a big traveler. So if there's anything closer, I would love to look into that. If I know of anything, I'll let you know. I've been using this thing like daily now. This thing comes in so clutch for cleaning out little condensers. If you guys do refrigeration, you know, it comes apart. So right now I'm gonna put in a pack out. Every time I use it, I usually let it out or leave it out in the back to dry, because it, you know, it has a little bit of water in there. And I got flour like on all my stuff now. So yeah, if you do little condensers, this one's pretty cool. You can do rooftop units with it too, but it's gonna take a little while or quite a bit of water. So I had a pizza place with a whole bunch of flour caked into the condenser. It was a little cooler. And then yesterday I had a walk-in that they have fried chicken. They keep fried chicken in there, and they use flour and all that to fry it. So the whole back evaporator was caked too. And if you don't want to run a hose through the whole kitchen, just set this up, fill up a water bottle, and then it has a quick connect. So I was letting it out to dry. I'm going to put it in the pack out, which is the video that I put out earlier today. So everything goes in the pack out, nice and neat. Just try not to have a messy van all the time. So how is everybody doing this week? Is there anybody working late? You got calls coming in? I know a lot of you guys have like no heat. I don't have any no heat. I was hoping it was going to be cold tonight. It's not. It's 40 degrees up until a couple of days ago. Back to 80-degree weather. And I think either in the middle of the night or tomorrow, it's supposed to get like another cold front, like 50. So we'll see how that goes. PM pack out, put together, goes up there, and we're done with it. This is the vacuum setup from yesterday. Nice and easy, has everything I need to do vacuums. Everything clicks in place. And then on the doors, I got these little parts containers. So that has all my wiring and different things. And then right now, I'll show you what's in the shelves and stuff. I need to do a van tour, but I need to finish cleaning up. Like, all of this is wire nuts right now. I'm making sure that all this is mounted correctly. I actually have something back there that you're not supposed to see. I'll move it right now. All right, chat is coming in. Adrian, got a low voltage short callback. Package unit, heat strips, and blower runs without a call. So was that the original call? Because you're saying it's a callback. I hate when customers try to get me with that and they're like, you were just here working on it or whatever. And then I'm like, yeah, well, let me see. If it's the same problem, I'll cover it under warranty or whatever. But if it's a new problem that, you know, didn't come up when I was here, then it's not a callback and I got to charge you for it. So that's the only bad thing. So when you're working on something, you got to make sure that you go through everything. And then like if it's like an ice machine or even like a walk-in or a reach-in, if you would do like coolers and stuff, make sure you cycle it several times. So like I like to wait for it to satisfy, and then I leave the doors open a little bit, close it up, let the temperature rise, and then you know, see it come back on, what temperature, make note of what temperature it's keeping, and prevent callbacks. If you see something, write it down. If it's something you can take care of, do it. If it's something that you need approval for, let them know. And then, yeah, just I hate callbacks, and I hate being told something's a callback when it's like something completely different. And like with ice machines, make sure you do like 3 batches before you leave, because it could do 1 and then give an error code after that. Javier, it's slowing down in Corpus area. Are you guys, your temperature might be like what it is for me. Like it's cool, but it's not cold yet. I don't know if you guys are getting that, or if you're getting colder temps in Corpus, because that's super close to us. Cooling with Kraus in the building. Yo, I got to get into my van and reorganize some things. Had some 50s here back in 80s as well, but maintenances with a call or so sprinkled in. So yeah, this is like the slow season. I try to keep busy because I do I mostly do kitchen refrigeration, to be honest. So right now I got a lot of freezers down. That's keeping me busy. Of course, summer is for ACs. We don't really get any no heat calls, so I don't have to deal with that right now. But I do love watching it. So like I go on YouTube and I watch everybody who does the no heat calls, and then especially the gas ones, because everybody here is electric heat already. I don't see any gas furnaces. Like for sure furnaces. Like we don't see residential houses with much gas. It's like phasing out basically. A lot of the older people are the ones that have it still. And then as far as package units, it's like 1 out of every 5 might have gas on the roof. But we're not seeing it that much. And if I do see it, it's because it's an older unit. And every time they get sold a new unit, it's with it's with electric heating. RX just got off, put a thermostat control on a rail system. Awesome. I think last week was my week working late. This week hasn't been so bad. I think today was decent. Yesterday, 6 o'clock. I'll call that a good day. But we'll see. The week just started. You never know. Fernando, been slow since September. Mostly 1 call a day. Are you working at a company? Do you work for yourself? When you work for yourself, it's not so bad. It's when you have like employees to pay that you kind of worry about it. So like we have several franchises, thankfully, and a lot of them are good customers. So we kind of know how many accounts we have to make sure we pay everybody. But yeah, when we started, it was up and down. There's times where we're like, it's a little too slow to have like all these guys around. So right now we're okay. We're a team of 5. So I want to say, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. We have about 4. It's golf season. We have about 4 major accounts, which are going to be like franchise, like fast food chains and whatnot. And then we have a lot of little local accounts where they have like 2, 3 restaurants around at the most. So, one of those keeps each of us busy. Back in the day, though, we had nothing but 24/7 restaurants, like 24 hours a day, that they were open, and those were horrible. Like the IHOPs, the Denny's. We were gonna get Stripes, but I was like, we were like already tired of that kind of work. So like, I think when it gets slow here, I run less than 4 calls. On a good day, I run 4 to 5. But if it slows down, every now and then it's like a couple calls. But I also have other things to do. So I have lots of paperwork, computer stuff to do. So keep myself busy one way or another. Economizer. Heat strips and blower runs without a call. Check the economizer. A lot of our, I'm not even super familiar with economizers, or I don't have much experience with them because nobody ends up using them here. They break and then they just leave them bypassed. And then they end up doing the manual, like damper stuff. You work for a company, only 3 years in the trade though. Only 3 years, so they got you running calls on your own already then. 3 years in the trade, that's, you just started. Richie, you're in here. Did you hear? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I already like tuned them out, but maybe there was a rooster. I'm outside. The doors are open. It's golf season. Tons of work in Phoenix, Arizona. You guys are probably the only other ones besides like my area of Texas that gets busy all year round because, like I said, today it was 80 to 90. So I did have one AC call, but like I said, a lot of my stuff right now is refrigeration. It's a lot of freezers that are going down, walk-ins, you know, a lot of lack of maintenance. So like dirty coils, a lot of thermostats also. Kraus, I'm originally from Maryland and was all gas and oil. Once I moved to Florida, there are a few furnaces that generally I'm the guy that goes to the furnace calls because some guys haven't seen one. It's a thing, man. Like, I am probably not that good if I get sent out to no heat, because I'm like, who's using their heater down here? You don't see it. Not unless like the other year that we had that nasty freeze, but it's only like for a few days and then it goes away. I don't like Texas, no green stuff. So many heat pumps. We don't have any heat pumps here. I came across one. I think I've only seen one, and it was actually out of town. It's still in my area. It's only like an hour away. But I was like, oh wow, a heat pump. So I was like, don't tell me it's the heat pump, the reversing valve, because I was like, I don't have any experience with that. But it ended up being they had a short on one, and then like some minor leak. So I was like, man, if I have to replace a reversing valve, I've never done one. But I guess you got to learn at some point. Good until the power goes out. Tell me about it. So, like that time that we had in Texas, our major freeze that was like a week long, and we had no electricity for like a week, I think, or more. I don't know if it was longer than a week. Everybody was screwed. Nobody had heat. Like I said, it's all electric. Nobody had any way to cook. All the stoves are electric here. So everybody, like I said, like a lot of the older people have that stuff. So like my parents have a gas stove. I think they have electric heat right now, but they have a gas stove. So at least I had the stove to cook and all that. But yeah, we were so screwed when the electricity gave out, and that sucks so bad. But that's what you gotta deal with when you go that route. And I don't know what it is. It's just like a thing. Nobody really has gas hookups anymore. They want everything on the electric bill. I converted my AC to a heat pump. That was fun. Nobody had propane in Texas. I don't have, I think around here it's not as common. Everybody has their pit, their barbecue pits, and it's all wood or charcoal. Even myself, I don't have a propane grill. So we do have them in case of emergencies now because of that, but no, I don't know, all that stuff is not common here. Smash the like button like Steph says. Fernando, you remember that? That was horrible, dude. Shirt is fire. What brand of shirt? This is a global source. They're the ones that make those turbo capacitors, right? That's what they're called. The hard starts and all that. I kind of want to do a shirt with something like that with a flag. I used my propane gas to grill. My propane gas grill to cook chest outside. Yeah, you got to be prepared for all that crap. It sucked when that happened. Make sure you have a generator. Funny enough, now that we have all that stuff, I mean, I was in the middle of moving when all this happened too. Now I have a great, generator that works on propane and gas. I have more stuff in case we don't have electricity now. But now I don't want it to happen, but now the lights haven't gone out in so long, so that stuff is just in case of emergency, but it's there. I can help with heaters. I changed out my gas furnace to electric. Nice. How do you feel about switching to R32? I want to say we talked about refrigerants in one of the last live streams. I don't remember which one R32 is. Which one is that one we're replacing? Is that the 410 one, or which one is that one? Because we still have, well, we're not doing R22. I have, if I need it, I have 407C. Let me see something. Like I said, there's something back there I'm not supposed to show you. Legally, I can't. Let's see. All right, so I got, this is my little rack here. I don't think I can change. I guess I can't change to wide angle. So this is my little container. I have the nitrogen, oxygen, acetylene gets put upright in another area. So this holds zip ties. I'll show that off in the van tour. So I got zip ties here. And like I said, I have, and the color shades always change. Because one time the 407 was brighter than the 404. But I have 404, we still use that a lot. And I had recently converted a lot to that, which I'm kind of upset that it's phased out already. So 404 works the best in my opinion for low temp. And then for any R22, I still have some coolers that are R22. We're going to be using 407C. In my experience, that's the only one that works for refrigeration. Now for AC, we tried 427A. It wasn't bad. I'm scared of MO99 because A lot of people said it was killing compressors. And then I got onto a roof one time, and all the compressors were labeled MO99, and there was about 4 or 5 dropped off on the side of the roof. So there was a little graveyard of compressors. And then I condemned about 3 more compressors that had been converted to MO99. So I mean, they might not have been installed correctly, like the best practices and all that. Around here, people don't have all their equipment. You know, they don't have their recovery machine, their vacuum pump, everything that they need to do it. And I've seen it firsthand. So I went with 407C. Like I said, we tried putting some of the other ones in like a cooler and stuff, and I could never bring down the temp no matter what I did. Richie, you love MO99. I don't know. I've heard bad things, and then I saw those compressors that were all dead, that were brand new. So I've never tried it. I don't think we've ever carried it. And I liked 407C, so that was it. That was it for me. And then of course we're still using 410. So those are the main ones I use. And then over there, recovery tank. Someone asked me why I had so many. It's for each refrigerant I'm recovering all the time. So I have one for 410, one for 404, and then there's another one that is interchangeable. I will go change it out if I need to, and that'll recover like the R22s and different things. And that one right there, I don't know what color that is. It looks green, kind of, but kind of gray. That's my 134. So I still use that every now and then. And for like little coolers, like old ones. So those are the ones that I use. I guess the odd one out is that 134A, which we don't carry. Like, not everybody carries it for us, or like not each tech will have one. We will share a couple of tanks because we don't use it at all. I think I had to use that for a hospital recently because they still had like one old cooler, and they changed out all the other ones, and all the other ones are 404 already. But I needed 134, and I had to go grab that from one of our guys. Gino, I love ice machines, especially Hvacr. I started on Hvacr and Follett. So I got used to those like real quick. The Hvacr ones, at least the ones that I worked on, it was always a dump valve. So usually got to replace those out. Water pumps gave out a lot. I had 2 locations that had Hvacr, 2 or 3. And they weren't too bad to work on. I never had issues with the electrical too much, like the boards or anything. It was always a water pump or a dump valve that wasn't working. And then what was it? Oh, I worked on Follett ice machines. I don't know if you guys work on those. Those, I think our hospital has those because they like to have little, what do you call it, nugget ice. And the Follett makes those little nugget, like the Sonic ice. So they have that. Worked on a bunch of those. They recently had just changed them all out because they were all falling apart. And we were doing their cleaning, but they haven't called us. I think they wanted their maintenance guys to do them. High voltage Fury 410 is being replaced by R32. That's what I was trying to remember. It's a new window units and mini splits, neither of which I work on. So I've seen a couple of mini splits around here. They're mainly just going to use them to add on to like a room that's hot. I think even like some of my family members want to do that too, right? You got a hot room, you can put a mini split in there. I put one in personally at a restaurant that had a back room that was hot. And this was like a long time ago, before I ever saw it online. So we have installed one many years ago. R32 propane based. It's probably flammable. Everything's going that way. A lot of the stuff is like combustible or flammable. I only recently started seeing the R290 stuff. I think I had like 2 calls recently where I had those. Both of them were, oh no, one of them was leaking in the evaporator. I've already seen like 4 or 5 R290 units are straight up just leaking in the evaporator. And I think the other one just had a controller problem. I'm surprised at how well that propane kind of stuff works. It works really well, and they were freezers and they worked very well. They didn't ice up or anything. They seem to be working pretty good. In your interview with HVAC Boss, how did he get started in HVAC? I don't think we talked about that. We were taking a lot of questions. I didn't have it set up, but I told him I wanted to do it, like to have him on again. So this time, like when I do have people on with me, I have a list of questions now. So I'm gonna have a list of questions and a topic. That way everything gets answered. Like I said, that one was the first time that I did that. So we kind of just like winged it. Maybe next week I'll try and have somebody on. And I need to ask him again, and we can have him on. He was great. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed that one. So definitely I'll ask him again. I'm sure he'll be on again. 404 is phased out, not in Texas. Yeah, it's going to be. So yeah, if y'all are in Texas, we're always the last ones to get all these like things. So I'm pretty sure California is already starting all that. That's why if you watch Chris from HVACR videos, he usually talks about any of that stuff that comes up, because it tends to hit them first, tends to hit Texas last. I was wondering why they still sell it to me. Yeah, they'll still sell you anything. Like the R22, I know it's still around somewhere. If you pay $1,000 for a jug, or I think it was like 1,500. At least that's what somebody told me. It could be them not replacing the oil with the correct level. The oil is a big deal, and you're gonna have the same issue with 407C. Now the good thing is, if it's ever had the compressor replaced within the past few years, past decade probably, if it has a new compressor, it most likely has POE oil already in it, which a lot of these refrigerants now use. But that's a concerning part, right? I've seen it work where you can drop in whatever and not change the oil. It's not that it's the right way. And recently I had talked to an older guy who was actually doing some work, and we were discussing R22. And he was like, yeah, what's the other one? He's like, we got another one, and I don't know. And he was like, oh yeah, 407C. I'm like, oh yeah, it's simple. It's like basically the same. You just gotta change the oil, make sure it's the right one. He like just looked at me super confused. And I was like what? Nah, you don't gotta change the oil. I just put them in like that, they all work. I'm like, shit, okay. Like, and that's why I don't like to talk to, I guess mostly the older guys. I don't like to get too technical with work. If they can show me something, you know, that I don't know, that's cool. If they can answer a question, that's cool. But I don't want to be telling them how to do things. Like, I can mention it to him, like I mentioned to him that they have to do the oil change or whatever. But if he's against it, I can't do anything about it. So then I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to start an argument. He has his old ways. Recently on the roof, I was leaving, saw somebody with a bucket. I heard refrigerant leaving a system, bubbling. A lot of you guys might know what the bucket recovery method is. Not a good thing, but I can mention it to him, but I'm not gonna force anything or have an altercation like that. I don't know, it's just me. But for myself and my guys, we all have recovery machines. You saw my recovery tanks. I take it very seriously. And I'm always afraid, ever since I got my license, that somebody's gonna go by or somebody's gonna follow me somewhere because they know who I am. Like, you know, our vans are wrapped. They know me. They know my dad around here. And they're always, people are competitive. So like, me myself, I don't want the EPA called on me. I don't want to be on the website on the little list of shame. They will, if you go on I don't know about other states, but if you go on TDLR for Texas, that's the license regulating website. You can go and see who has been fined, how much, what their violation was, the company and the names and everything. So I never wanted to be on that list whatsoever. I don't know if anybody checks it, but I check it, or I've looked through it. And I don't want to be on there. I don't want to pay the fine. I don't want to be putting my company in jeopardy, putting my license in jeopardy. So I recover. No matter how long it takes me, I will recover. I have everything I need. If I can't do it that day, I tell the customer, you know, I'll reschedule because we got to do all this stuff. If it's like too late, I'm like, I'll come back in the morning, or I'll do, you know, I'll schedule it. But if they get somebody that can do it right off the rip, go in there, mix refrigerants, let out refrigerant, all that stuff, I'm not gonna be that person. Why is EPA in the chat right now? Funny enough, I the other day, I was out of town, like I said, doing my out of town call. I was 2 hours away. Horrible drivers in Texas. Some lady cut me off, gave me the finger. I was like, whatever. Pulled up next to me, was trying to take a video of me or something, I guess, to post it, that I was going the speed limit, and she was going slow and, you know, cutting me off. I was like, whatever. Finished my call, and then when I was coming back, yeah, you can reuse refrigerant that you recovered if it's not contaminated. I don't know if I have my... Get you some of these. At bare minimum, at least, an acid test. And what I do is I check before I take it out to make sure it's clean. And you can also check, like if you already recovered, maybe do a test on the tank. As long as it's not contaminated or it passes your acid test, you can reuse it. It's not an issue. I reuse it all the time. But if you have a burnout or something like that, obviously you don't. You recover it, and you need to recover. They require a certain percentage, so make sure you get at least over half full, I think. And then, you know, you take it back to your supply house and they'll recycle it and reclaim it. But for the most part, like if I need to take out the refrigerant to do something minor, there's no compressor burnout, I always reuse the refrigerant. It saves me money, it saves the customer money, I don't have to worry about it. I've been keeping reclaimed R22. That would have been a good idea, but the only thing I have with R22 is around here. Usually if I'm recovering it, it's because the pressures are very strange, and it's like, it looks good, but it's not cooling. I can kind of tell that it's been mixed. And from talking to everybody here, I even, like, it comes up in the supply house. It comes up with other guys, because it's like a drop-in. A lot of times I see it mixed because it's not cooling right, and then we'll go in there, take it out, weigh it back in with like a new tank, like I'm using 407C now, but with whatever we had, we would go back and weigh it in, and then it just works. And I'm like, okay, well, it was probably mixed. Once you start mixing refrigerants, a lot of the stuff can go sideways and just start acting up, where it's like, it looks like it's working, but it's not cooling. So it's kind of weird, you know, and that's how I can kind of tell. So unless I know it's never been touched or something like that, I never trust, for the most part, R22 to be pure R22. And even then, we have to deal with some of our customers, you know, might get impatient and they have somebody else go. I got another company, and then either they never hear back from them. I mean, they could be, you know, just that busy, but sometimes they never answer the phone to come back, or they have a maintenance guy, engineering department at like the hospitals, and then I go back and I can tell they either marked it or they did something and it's not the right refrigerant, like a 134. I had a unit that was a 404 compressor, and I looked inside and it was 134A label. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell they put in there. So I had to recover it, weigh it in. I had to go with whatever the compressor and the expansion valve are, and then we got it working that way. But I don't know. I have trust issues with people mixing, just from talking to people around here. So yeah, I ran it. Actually, like I was saying, EPA was in the chat. They're watching everybody. I actually ran into an old man when I was gassing up, coming back from my out of town call, and he told me he was an EPA instructor, but he was retired. So I was like, oh cool, you know, I just stayed to chat with him. And he said he was an instructor and he had done it for, you know, so many years. I'm like, you know, don't worry, I got my credentials. I have my EPA license, like the card. I have the card on me. We used to put them, and I told them we used to have all the stickers that go on the van. It says that you're EPA certified. There was one like you're 410A certified, and then there was like a maintenance certified. I don't know. They had a lot of weird certifications, and I was like, no, don't worry, I have all that stuff, and I have my license. So like, oh, that's good, that's good. But that was cool. EPA came to our company, but for the carpet cleaners. Yeah, I asked Angel from HVAC Boss, and he said he's seen them. I don't know if he was talking about the EPA or just the licensing in general. I think we were talking about EPA. And he said, yeah, that he's seen them come out for other trades, not really for his, or that he knows of. Oh man, I got lost in the chat. Okay. Brendan, I just sell them a new system. In the long run, it'll save them money. Yes, I like to repair, so I'm always going to be like, I can do this or that. You know, I'll never tell them no, unless, like recently, all the rusted out units, compressors are going to start caving in, but I'll tell them you have an option to repair it, but you also have the option to replace it. If it's R22, if it's over 20 years old, you might want to consider. And what's funny is I had a video, it was one of my older videos, and I had a 410A unit, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to recommend I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was I don't know, I might be getting the videos confused, but in general, I had a unit that I was going to recommend. I told them I can repair it, but I'm going to push for a new unit. A lot of it needed a lot of work. It needed, I think, compressors and like fan motors, and everything looked, you know, the coil, what I base it on is like if it's going to pile up to thousands of dollars to repair it, and then it only lasts, you know, another couple years, I will tell them that. Also, if it's like several of those things, and then the coil itself is missing all the fins, it's brittle to the touch, you touch it, everything falls off. When it's all that stuff piled up, I will tell them, get a new unit. Like if it's only the coil, we'll replace the coil. If it's only the compressor, I'll do the compressor. But you got to know when to tell them you might want to consider getting a new unit. You get warranty, you get everything, it'll work right off the bat. And you won't have to worry about it for, you know, however many years. But yeah, I like to repair, but you got to know when to sell them a new unit. Oh, and what I was saying is that in that video, I recommended it, and there was a comment that was like, how are you going to recommend a new unit? That thing has 410. It's basically brand new. I'm like, man, I don't know if you're lost in time or something, but 410 has been around for over 20 years already. Like a 410A system 10 years ago, 15 years ago, yeah, that's a brand new unit. Right now, those are the old units. It's going to get phased out already. So I thought that was funny. I'm like, I think some people still consider 410 brand new. A lot of apartments that we work on, especially the older ones, use MO99. I'm pretty sure if you guys do the right practice and procedures, everything will work. I've seen guys use it and they say that it works fine. It's just when I was picking my replacement, especially because I do more refrigeration, that's mostly what I do. I heard bad things, and you know, that got in my head, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I tried the 407. I liked it because it worked on like with coolers, it dropped the temp super quick. It worked just like R22. Just the capacity is like 80% or something, and the pressures are going to be a little bit The pressures will be a little bit lower. You got to make sure you check your saturated temp, but that's like, you know, with everything. You ever try 422B? Not myself. I did ask around. I think that would have been my next, the next one that I tried, but I ended up just sticking with this. I don't see it that often to carry another one. Like I said, that one works for what I do, so it's been good. Maybe if I did more AC or more residential stuff, I might try one of those other ones. But if I did residential, I would probably be looking for one that was a drop-in, where I didn't have to change the oil or anything like that. This one, I do have to deal with that. But on most refrigeration units that I work on, they already have new compressors. They kept it R22, but it has POE oil, where I can literally drop this in and it works. I think somebody had mentioned, yeah, Adrian was like, you added supercharge when going from R22 to 407. I don't remember what I did with it. I think I put it in one of the pack outs. There's a can that I actually saw from NorCal Dave. I had not used it before. I was trying to make sure that we had the right oil. But there is a can by Diversitech, one of those companies, and it's like an additive, and it's a little can that you put in with with the short hoses that you have, the Pearson ones, and you add it to the system, and it makes the oil compatible with a POE based refrigerant. So I think that's when he's talking about the supercharged. That's what it's called. So yeah, if you don't have a POE compressor and you need it to work, or you need it to be POE oil, you can use a supercharged can. And I haven't had to use it, like I said, and I don't know where I left it. I think I put it in that toolbox. Either in the toolbox or in the, I have an install box. It's in one of those two. I hope. Jose, would you recommend working with EPA Universal License or also join a college program for HVAC? If you can get your EPA, that's already great. Not a lot of people get it right off the bat. And I guess it just depends on where you're from. Here, I don't think you need anything if you're gonna go work for a company. I went to school, that's my route, just because I wanted to have a basic understanding. Like, I didn't know anything about refrigeration. There was no YouTube. There was no Instagram. Even when I started working, after being a few years into it, I used to try to carry like a laptop with me or something so I could like try and look up manuals, and it was very hard to find a lot of this stuff. But you can, if you have no knowledge, you could do either. You could go to work and they can train you there, or you can go to school, and what you're going to go to school for is just your basic understanding, refrigeration cycle. How do I hook up gauges? How do I do a few things here and there, so that when you go and they tell you check pressures, at work, you can do it. Can you go hook up my gauges? Can you go do this? Maybe can you pump down a system? Can you set up the vacuum? Things like that. And then you're gonna know why, I guess, from having the books and all that. So that's why I liked going, is I had a really good understanding of the whole cycle. My school had a lot of hands-on. I worked on a lot of walk-ins at school, coolers and freezers. We had split systems that we worked on, or we pumped down systems. We opened compressors. We had these small reach-ins where I could pump down into like a receiver. We could check. They showed us how to use like the king valves, how the evaporator, how everything works while it's running. We had training boards with, you know, the house thermostats, and they could like, what do you call it, sabotage what they wanted, and we would have to go in there and look for short or what went out, what tripped it. Like, I had all that training in school, so I liked the one that I went to. I was here at South Texas College. That's the one that I went to. They have an HVAC program where it's like a campus. It's like a technology. If you guys are from here, it's a technology campus. I think it's still there. And yeah, and then I had like I think I had 4 instructors. 2 of them owned a business. Like, they had their own businesses. And then 2 of them worked, I think, for the school at the main campus. So like, we had a little bit of everything. If we had our discussion in the classroom, they would tell us about their work and different things. I even had a industrial class, and we got to look at the chillers there for the school, the water tower. We got to check all that. Obviously, we can't work on those things there, but it was cool that we got to see that stuff, and then we had the class for it. So I got to learn about that. I don't want to get into industrial, but it's cool to be able, or to know that stuff. Brad. Dang, where was I? Pulling a good vacuum is key. Yeah. So, man, like I said, when I started, there was not a whole lot. I saw a lot of bucket recoveries. I saw a lot of vacuums without micron gauges. I saw a lot of stuff getting put in without vacuums. So that's another thing, is I went to school and I knew that stuff was wrong. So I was like, no, I went out and I bought a recovery machine so that I could use. I went out and got myself a micron gauge or a vacuum gauge, whatever it was at that point. And I had all that stuff. So make sure you do the right practice. Hopefully whoever you work with does also, because you know, they're the ones that are going to show you the ropes most likely. And like, in my experience, I had to tune them out sometimes because they were not showing me the right way. And me going through the school program, I was like, I know he's not doing it right. I know he's not doing it right. It's like, whatever. When I can, I intervened, or when I was sent out on my own, I did my way that I knew from school. So you got to be careful out there. R450 to replace 134. They just buy, at that point, they just buy new equipment. Like I said, the hospital has one that is 134, I think, left. They started condemning a whole bunch of units, and they just went out and bought new ones. And of course, the new ones are just going to be 404. I did have an account that we got, and then, like, I don't know, they were one of those accounts that are known for not paying or shopping around a lot, so we're not working with them anymore. They had a lot of true, what do they call it? Like the wine cooler type of deals, the beverage coolers, the under counter ones that they put in the bars. Those were 134, so I thought I was gonna have to stock up. But like I said, we haven't gone back. We did get paid for the work that we did. A little late, but they're shopping around, so I'm not gonna cry over that. When you run a business or you work on your own, you got to get paid. That's what I always tell people. Or they question, why didn't I do this or do that, or why am I going back? I either need approval for some of these bigger chains, or I know they're not going to pay me. They're not going to pay for it. So I need to make sure that they either are aware, the person that's paying, whether it's a manager, area manager, like owner, whatever, of the restaurant, because I'm not doing the work for free. Eddie, what's up, man? Brad, we also need a separate hydrocarbon license. Recover always, baby lungs. Always better to cover your butt. Also a great selling point for customers. Makes you look credible. Basically, in my opinion, just be honest. If you go up to a roof, especially if you go up to a roof, because most likely the customer or whoever is in charge is not going to want to go up there. Take pictures, document everything, take notes, whatever you have to do. In turn, it'll get you more work, but it also, like, if you're being honest and you show them the proof, that goes a long way too. I'm just not, I don't know, I don't do residential because that's where it happens more. I'm not in the business to be upselling new units all the time. Or, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen guys trying to ring up the bill without doing any of the work or half of the work, and they just want to fill in the rest of it. Like, I feel like that always comes back to bite you. So be honest, take pictures, document your work, and just be aware of anything else they need and bring it to their attention. Those are the Californians who can't drive that moved to Texas. Man, my area used to be great. We have way too many people right now. And I know they're from like everywhere. It's been very crowded around here. There's a company here putting ads out. If you buy a new carrier from them, they will deduct all repair bills from your old unit. Does not sound very profitable. Profitable is very different probably from you to them. They could be marking up quite a bit. Around here, like I said, we're a low cost of living in general. Everything's cheap here. So we have to be very competitive with our prices. And when I do hear of some companies, they could be charging like twice what we're charging on hourly rates and stuff like that. So we've had bids before or we're way under. We don't lose money or anything. We have a way to do our quotes so that we don't lose money, but we're not like ripping them off. So anytime there's a bid at a place where they have like 3 or 4 companies bidding, because there's a couple that like to get an idea of what the range is. We're never the cheapest and we're never the most expensive. We're always in the middle, and they end up using us. So, well, for the good work, the good installs, right? Because I've had to deal with customers that went cheap and then they need us to go and fix something that was not done right. But that could be a company that just marks up enough on the new one to cover it. Maybe they do financing or other things like that. There's different ways. There's some that make you do a whole maintenance contract. But a good company will not be losing money. So they have something set up to where it covers it. So the customer could be paying more to use them, and then they get everything waived, like you said, the repairs before, or whatever repairs are waiving. But they'll be like, oh, we're getting all that taken off our bill or whatever. So they see it as a deal, but they're actually paying more for the new unit. So it's tricky, the whole pricing, quoting, and stuff like that. Eddie 407 for me. That's what I use too. My company still uses only R22. Your company must be making good money there. R22, I can see where it's an issue and you need it on supermarkets, things of large machines like that are critical, or anything that's like critically charged, where they can't just replace the equipment. Like at a supermarket, their equipment is huge. They can't replace the equipment in general, and nothing is going to be as good as the original, to be honest. But for me, I will go in there with the 407 to get them by, and if it works, they're happy. If it has issues, they're probably just going to buy a new system anyway. So we're not paying those R22 prices around here. Is that a refractometer behind you? What's behind me? I just got parts up there. Oh, that's I have a bunch of parts behind me. I think this one's used. Thermostat. I'll show you guys that in a minute. Trying to catch up with the chat. Araceli, long time no see. Brad, what would be the best leak detection method for MO99? I'm actually not familiar with MO99, but if it's I'm pretty sure a leak detector would find it. What kind of unit are you working on? At the moment, I only have field piece meter. It detects everything that I work on. Obviously, your best friend is going to be the bubbles. So I have the Refrigeration Technologies one. It picks up micro leaks really well. And then for like R290, I have my gas or combustible gas detector, but I have that in the front cabin right now. Oh, Jose, you're from Dallas. EPA is a good start. You're gonna need that regardless. So if you want to get it out of the way now, do it. Do that. Um, you should also be registered with uh, the state. So if you go to TDLR or just Google it, TDLR. Go to their site. It's just you just have to pay them once a year to be registered. That's technically what you're supposed to have or to work in the state of Texas. You can be registered. You can be certified if you want to take a small exam. And then after that, if you want, you can be a contractor and get your license once you have the requirements. And then, of course, your EPA. When do you know when to put in a fan cycle switch, or if it's just low on refrigerant? Fan cycle switch. Obviously, you got to take into account your ambient. So normally when I go up there and it's short cycling, automatically I'm going to hook up my gauges. If you have probes, even better, or stubby gauges, so you don't lose any charge. If that's your, if you're worried about that, you're gonna check it, and basically your fan cycle. The easiest way to check it is if you disconnect it and bypass it and see what it does. But yeah, I mean, normally if it gets really cold around here and my fan is running, the switch is bad. Well, I just had like 3 that I replaced. I mean, that's usually it. When I have to replace them, it's because it's cold outside and it's still running. You're going to see in your pressures, you're going to need, a high condensing temperature. So if you're absolutely unsure, the last thing you can do is bypass it. But it needs to, when it gets cold outside, it needs to turn off the fan, right? So your head pressure can come up. And then you're just going to make sure that it does that. If it's hot outside, it's going to have to be on. If it's like fresh, in between cold and hot, you're going to see it kick on and out. It shouldn't be on and off so much. It should be on for a while, off for a while. But I just usually put my gauges on real quick and kind of take a look at what it's doing. And yeah, the ones I usually replace is when it gets cold outside and the fan is still running. Araceli, it's been a long time. You haven't seen me go back on your live stream in a long time. Well, good to see everybody here. On a walk-in cooler, I don't actually see them a lot on walk-in coolers, the fan cycle. There are a few locations I can think of that do have them, but I mostly see them on ice machines. On walk-ins around here, they're gonna have like the headmaster valve, the bypass valve, more so than the fan cycle. Thermoy 40. I would recommend 2 years of school, so you don't get confused between the 3 R's: recovery, reclaim, recycle. Theory is very important. So yeah, and I know a lot of people interchange those words a lot. So recover, reclaim, recycle. So there, you can recover, you can go reclaim it, and then a lot of times if it's good refrigerant, it'll get recycled. They'll do the cleaning wherever you take it, and that gets sent out for that. Like I said, the only time I reuse it is if the system's fine, there's no burnout or anything, and I'm just gonna quickly take out so I can change out something, a dryer, put a pressure port in, or service port, something I need to do where it was not contaminated, take it out and then put it back in. Jose de la Rosa, saludos de Houston. What's up, man? I appreciate everybody in the chat right now. There's a lot of people still in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Richie, salesmen are not service techs. Don't matter residential or commercial. Oh, there's that heated debate. I can't do sales. I like to just repair it and be like, you know, if you want to get a new unit, let me know. I can get you prices or whatever. So, of course, if the unit is unsafe, I will condemn it, shut it off, and I'll be like, if you're not getting a new unit, I'm not working on it anymore. You know, whatever you have to do. You got to cover yourself. Make sure you're not in trouble or liable. Brad saw someone in the chat mention MO99. I have never heard of it. Somebody mentioned it's 438A technically. MO99 is just like what I'm used to calling it. It's a R22. I believe it's a drop-in. So this one is, Gino pulled it up or wrote it out for me. It's a zeotropic blend containing R32, R125, and 134A butane and I-pentane. I've never heard of that one. That's what I was trying to remember, because I remember it had a weird mixture. So I think somebody had asked. Okay. Cheers. Fernando, what are some of your goals for your business? Obviously, to keep growing. I think we've learned in the past not to be content with having just a couple of big accounts, right? Anything can happen. We had, like I said, IHOP, Denny's, you know, a lot of restaurants like that. Then it got kind of dead, and then we were kind of screwed for a while. So I definitely need to expand a little bit more. I kind of want to take on a little more of a radius around us, like a little more area. And yeah, just keep it growing. We're pretty comfortable right now. You know, we make good money. We're not rich or anything, but I can strive for that. I want to be like Angel from HVAC Boss. That guy has like everything. Have a good one, Brad. My boss had me put a fan cycle on a walk-in that the headmaster wasn't working on. Said it was doing the same thing. So when you put one in, did it fix it, or you're telling me that it's not working? And what? Let's see. So these are the shelves. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it, but John was like, should have just replaced what wasn't working. Should have just replaced the headmaster if that was the issue. Just replace the headmaster if that was the issue. I don't think I've had them fail. The headmaster, the bypass valves or whatever, I usually replace them. I've never tried to go to do a workaround for that. So I'm curious if you guys are still having an issue with that unit you're talking about, or did it work with the fan cycle? I forgot what I was going to show you guys, but here's the shelving for now. Magnet wall is in the back. Like I said, I'm going to go over this in a video. Just kind of hanging out in here. Motors, I have more motors back here. Equipment goes right here. Bender, swager, leak detector, pack outs for electrical, for fittings and stuff. Got more tools back here. I need to clean up this section up here. These are just bins that catch random stuff. Spare parts, timers, more magnets. And then behind me is going to be the pack out tower. So I got to put all that back together. Hendrix, do you do installs? New installs? No. I've never been on the construction side. I've never done any residential installs or anything like that. The closest thing I've done to that is replacing the AC system at my parents' house. I was about to do the one here at our house, but the coil, I had found out that the coil had recently been replaced, and the guy was going to warranty it, so he came out and put it in. I didn't have to lift a finger, so I was already looking into new units, and I was going to put one in, but I didn't get to. At work, we do change outs. So we change out condensers, evaporators. If they have an AC that they want replaced, we will give them a bid or a quote. If it gets approved, then we do it. You know, things like that. But yeah, not new like construction, new installs, or anything from scratch. Ice cream guy, my boss has me throw a fan cycle when the headmaster isn't doing his thing. Interesting. Like I said, I've never done that. I've only had the headmaster fail on me a couple of times. Granted, we don't get a lot of cold weather, so as long as they stay not bypassed, it works fine. But I learned something new there. Throw a fan cycle switch on it, which has actually crossed my mind. I can't remember what call I had, but I suspected, you know, something with a headmaster or, you know, something like that, where it was calling, something was going on with it, and I'm like, if I could just turn off the fans real quick, it might work. But I didn't end up doing it. I forgot what happened with that call, but I've thought about throwing in a fan cycle switch for that kind of situation. So that's cool to know. RX, I can call something bad, but my boss makes the call in the end. I completely understand. Chris, when are you releasing a new full van tour video? If work allows and I have no issues coming up this week, I will have it out by the weekend. He said it would simulate the same thing as a headmaster. Yeah, it's like if you're turning out the fans, you're not cooling the condenser. You bring your head pressure up. Hendrix, you should try it. It's fun. Honestly, I follow a lot of guys over on Instagram. I don't know if anybody shows anything like that on YouTube. But, you know, Jeff Jadem, Flintstone, I believe. All those guys that do installs, like from new homes and stuff, they run new line sets. They, you know, do all their, basically all the new units. And I love watching it. I think it would be fun, but it's just not something that we do. I'm more of a commercial refrigeration guy. That's what I prefer to do, comfortable doing. It's in demand a lot here. Like I said, we do a lot of kitchen refrigeration, so that's kind of my thing. And I actually do like driving and traveling, so I don't know how it would feel about being in at a location, you know, the whole day. I don't know how I would feel about that. RX, that was just today, first time doing that. Yeah, if the headmaster is not bypassing, then you're not getting, or you're rejecting too much heat, and you're not getting your head pressure up. You can simulate it by just cutting off the fans. That'll bring it up, and then it'll, like you said, it'll kind of do the same thing. But I don't know, I always end up, and I don't have anyone to, even when I started, I didn't have too many people that I could ask how to do something or what to do, like in your situation. So if a headmaster valve went out, I replaced the headmaster valve. If something gave out, I replaced it. And it's just something that still happens today. It's like, I don't like talking to some of the guys that I run into. You're like the older guys, because they're going to say that they did something and it's like been perfectly fine for however long. And, you know, they're cool with it. Not having a recovery machine, not having a vacuum pump, not having a micron gauge. If nothing bad ever happened to them, they're like, oh, it's cool, we're cool. Nitrogen was another thing that I can't remember what it was that they told us in school. I honestly don't remember nitrogen, but when I got into the field, nitrogen was not a thing. Nobody used it. And then I figured out that I needed it to braise and all that. So then I have it. I have my tank. I always make sure I have it full. But yeah, that's another thing. A lot of guys don't braze with nitrogen. So, like, honestly, you could have a unit that you didn't vacuum, you didn't purge your nitrogen, whatever. Not even, whatever. And it could work for years and years and years. You might not ever hear about it breaking down. And that stuff happens, so doesn't mean it's the right way or that it's going to last as long as it should, but it happens. Chris, awesome, thanks. Hopefully getting my van soon and looking for ideas. Yeah. I mean, we've already been live for way longer than I thought we would be. But here is the the pack out setup. That is a folding cart. If you guys have not seen me, I have videos on that too. Not a dedicated video, but I've used it before. I have a whole cart in here. It folds up, it goes there. That Vito storage, little hanging storage is great. I have a lot of stuff in there. That's my chemical kind of bin right there. Underneath it, I got stuff that I do for install. So there's thermostat wires, different things like that. I hang a bucket here. Got a little step ladder. I'm gonna try and record this week, and hopefully it comes out over the weekend. Adrian, were you ever afraid of heights? How do you deal with them? I think I did like a TikTok because I was on a high roof. It was like around 24 feet, which in my area, they're usually like 20 feet. So like 20 feet. So that one, I didn't like it the first time I went up there because it was a new customer. I only have a 24-foot ladder. I need to get a bigger one now for just that customer. My back isn't that great, to be honest, and then I have bad knees. I have a torn ACL. I did have reconstructive surgery and all that. The surgery actually didn't go that well. My knee kind of sucks. So the only bad thing with me is when I go up there super high, like on a fully extended ladder, my knees are not the sturdiest. So that's the only thing that I have issues with. As far as being up there, I want to say everybody is kind of afraid of heights at first. But the more you do it, the more you're up there, I don't know, you'll get used to it. If you're going up a ladder, do not look down as you're going up. Once you're up there, do not hang over the edge. I know we do. It's probably not the safest thing or not the best thing in the world, but we do rope up stuff to the roof. So I do have to go on the edge and kind of pull up some stuff. If it's something heavy, have somebody help you. Just be safe. Have really good boots that are slip resistant as well. A lot of the roofs I run into, they end up draining the units to the roof, so it's always wet. So just make sure you have all that. Luckily for me, well, now it's half and half, but before I only had customers that had like riser rooms or whatever they're called. They always had a roof access in the building, so I could just go up. I'm fine with the in-building ladders. I hate putting ladders on the side of buildings, like on a strip mall. Those feel super unsafe to me, but I recently actually got one of these. a lockjaw ladder grip. So I hook up I place my ladder and I go up there. Now, fortunately, it's a gutter that you're locking into. So fortunately, the only place I put my ladder up is on strip malls, and they always have a gutter. So I put this on, you know, it clips onto your belt or to your tool pouch, whatever you're going up with. Put it on there, clip it on, and your ladder's not going anywhere. That makes me feel so much safer. So that is like one of my favorite purchases I've made in the past few years. Just because like we had just picked up an account that I had to put my 24-foot ladder like fully extended out on a lot of them. So having something like that where the ladder's not like going back and forth or sliding around makes it great. Also, I had a ladder fall on me one time, but I was already on the roof, so I had no way to get down. I don't think I put a bungee on that time, but a bungee kind of sucks too because it's elastic, so it stretches. So if it shifts over or your weight shifts it, it'll move. So I don't know. That's one of the great things that I bought that helps me with using my ladder. So como quiere jala. Yeah, that's what texts say. As long as it works. Yeah, I had recently posted something where they had like a bunch of thermostat wire exposed, and they were reusing old disconnect boxes on new units. Like they had a brand new train, and then they started calling me because like a lot of them weren't coming back on. And I go up there and it's not passing power through the disconnect box, and I'm like, this is an old disconnect box. They obviously reused it. And then the same thing with the drain. A lot of the units weren't draining because they had all the PVC pipe hooked back up, but like they replaced the carrier units with train units, so they didn't match up the same, and they just kind of left the drain hooked up, and it was like not leveled right and all that. So they had no power. They had drains backing up on the ones that were working. And I was like, they reused everything, but whoever you paid, obviously they're like, if it works, it works. They came on, they get paid, they get out of there. RX is a Milwaukee Packout worth it? Well, RX, I'm gonna be posting a video every day. If you haven't noticed, I already went over the vacuum Packout. So we have the vacuum one here. That one's a PM Packout. I posted that one today. So I'm going to show you like what I use them for. So, I mean, you be the judge. So like this one, if I'm going up and I already made a repair, let's say I brazed something or whatever, and then I need to start doing the vacuum, this is all I need to come get. And the vacuum pump. The vacuum pump doesn't fit in here. If you have a small vacuum pump, it will, because there's still space in here. But this has all my hoses, core removers, micron gauge, cheater cord, everything. So I can get the vacuum pump and then grab this, and it has a shoulder strap. So, I mean, you be the judge. When I'm putting it back, you put it in, it clicks. Put it up back where it goes. Everything has a spot. So for me, my main thing is to keep this van clear. So I like to have an open floor. Like right now this is out. This should be up there, but I like to have an open floor concept so that when I come in here for anything, I'm not stepping on my own stuff. I have a path if I need to come in and get a part that is in the middle, or equipment that's on this side, or whatever. So everything has a place. Everything goes in a pack out now, and it goes back up in this little tower. I have two right now. I have this huge tower that has a lot of stuff that clicks in, and I have over here the ones that I don't use as much. So I don't know. It's just a better way to organize. And if you can't tell, I mean, I ripped out a lot of stuff. If you've ever seen my old van tours, there's absolutely no shelf on this side. I had two shelvings on this side that are now completely gone. Pack out kind of replaced all that. Chris, a lot of journeymen I work with don't purge nitrogen. That's what I'm telling you. There's a generation out there that I am having trouble where I'm like, I don't know how to deal with them. I guess they think it slows them down. Not sure how I feel about it yet. TNZ Comfort, hey, what's up, man? Glad you can join. Guys, don't forget to hit the like. I appreciate everybody that's in here. But, yeah, there's a lot of older guys. Like, I don't work with anybody. We do have a guy that does, because the good thing is it's me and my brother that are in charge of the HVAC side. He knows the proper procedures. He went to the same school I did. And he has me if he needs any, or he has any issues. My dad does cooking repairs, like on commercial kitchen equipment. And he works with somebody. And we used to have another guy that was the same. They did the hot food repairs, and then they did a little bit of our, like my work. So if I'm tied up, he can go out there and check it. He can do small repairs or whatever. But I try to make sure that he does everything the best to his ability. But whenever I run into older guys, like I said, I had to have work done here. That was warranty work. I wasn't going to do it. And then I've run into older guys that I, see at the supply house or whatever. And I hate talking about work with some of them. Like, I try not to bring up work or opinions. Only because if they start saying like, oh, I don't purge, or oh, I don't have a recovery machine, or oh, I don't vacuum, like, I don't know what the hell to tell them. Like, I don't want to be like upset or fighting there, but yeah, there's going to be people that don't do that stuff. And from experience, I've seen it, and I've seen it work. You can purge without, or you can braze without purging nitrogen, and the system will work. How long will it work? I don't know. But then, like, that's where I get the calls that like we have, like, or second opinions is where that kind of hurts them. I go in there and I'm like, oh, it's just, your dryer's plugged up. Your filter dryer is plugged up. Oh, your coils are plugged up. I had some company, and I don't want to name names because I know a lot of local guys watch my channel. I get complaints, or I get called for second opinions when a company is recommending a whole bunch of new units and a whole bunch of compressors, or the main other thing is, hey, they're charging me for adding refrigerant every month to the same units. Those are probably the three main things that I get called for on second opinions. And It's just like if you have the proper procedures, if you're doing like dumb little things like the coils, make sure your coils are always clean. Like don't be like, oh, you need a new unit, it doesn't work, it keeps tripping. Or it's tripping, you bypass the pressure switches. I see that often too. So many times there's going to be bypassed pressure switches, and then what does that do? Automatically you're going to have a dead compressor very soon. Coils are dirty all the time. Make sure you have clean coils. Dryers they will get plugged up eventually if enough brazing without nitrogen has been done, or it's been exposed like with a leak or something, like it goes flat and it's been exposed. You're gonna have contaminants in there. Eventually it will clog up. I've seen it happen. Yeah, recently somebody called me because they had just finished replacing a few compressors, and then they were at another location recommending another like 2 or 3 compressors. I go out there and I'm like, hey, you're tripping out on high head pressure. I hooked up my gauges. You're getting like over 500 psi on 410. That's not normal. Let me clean the coils. It took me like 5 passes to get those coils clean with, I think I used the yellow cleaner. I didn't use the new bright or the brightener. I was going to on the next trip, but we're waiting on payment on some of the stuff. So, yeah, it's just, some people, if they can't fix it, they'll get them a new unit. RX, yeah, you can't see the floor of my van. Everything's always flying off the shelves. My shelves actually ripped off the side of my van. So now they're held to the wall by a bungee cord. Bungee cords are your best friend for strapping things down, right? And I used to be like that. To be honest, like my van was always a mess. My dad would get after me all the time. So I think now he's pretty proud of me having everything put away. But my dad's like that. So he's very organized. He wants to know where things are. We used to have issues with like parts. We didn't know where parts were in the vans. And even now, like I said, we downsized. We used to have more guys. And then we cleaned out their vans, and we had so many extra parts, but they didn't know where they were because everything was piled up. So right now in our warehouse, I think I'm still getting through some of the parts that was left from a couple years ago. Just because I kept buying so much of it and they didn't know where they put it. So that's another thing. I need to know where my stuff is because I'm trying to get in and out real quick. I don't want to be buying parts that I already have somewhere and I can't find. That really like irritates me. TNZ, I just picked up the field piece SC480 multimeter and I am absolutely impressed with it. Love the setup, by the way. I purge nitrogen and use flush and then chase it with nitrogen. Yeah, if you guys are having issues with a vacuum, if you guys do at least a double, but it's supposed to be a triple evacuation. Like TNZ here is like he purges it, flushes it, and then nitrogen, and then pulls a vacuum. If you're not pulling a good enough vacuum and you don't have any leaks, you need to do that triple evacuation, or at least twice. I do twice, I'll be honest. And then that'll dry it out, pull it down, and you'll be good. RX, I always bring up the recovery machine at my shop, but they tell me, oh, well, all the cows farting in the atmosphere is worse. We do get blamed for all of the atmosphere problems, but I mean, I wouldn't want to purposely be venting that stuff out when, you know, you're not supposed to. So I just do it. Those are the laws or whatever. So honestly, that's a struggle when you're working somewhere, is whoever is your senior tech or anybody that, like, supervisor, boss, whoever, it's not your company, so it's really whatever they say goes. Don't want to pay, or customers don't want to pay extra for all that time. I try to save them time where I can, but like, I'm gonna do recovery. There are certain things I won't cut out. Is a recovery, a vacuum, a good vacuum, and purging. So I try to do all that stuff. Where do you work? Where were you from? You said you were from here, no? Oh no, that was supposed to say. Oh, Midland, Texas. Handyman in the house. Oh yeah, Jonathan is from my area. The South Texas. Oh, John, you all do supermarkets? I kind of wanted to do that. Then I actually saw what you guys actually do, and I was like, no, I'm good. Gary, from the old school generation where we never used to use nitrogen, but I see the advantages these days and try to use it as much as I can. Mostly do supermarket work. And I understand that. So, like I said, when I came in about 15 years ago, that was kind of still up there, like all the old ways. I didn't know about the nitrogen stuff too much when I started, but I don't know, I try to keep up with what we're supposed to be doing. Like I said, I got my license right away. I do not want to get fined, and I do not want to get it taken away. RX, not familiar with supermarket, just restaurant and residential side. We also work on the roof, we also work on the hot side, like hot wells, ovens, and grills. Yeah, man, I need to brush up on my hot side work. I used to do that as a helper for my dad. So my dad started the company, but it was commercial kitchen repairs, right? So that's why our name is Reliable Kitchen Services. So we mostly service kitchen equipment. Now, that's why I'm mostly a refrigeration guy, because I do coolers and freezers and ice machines. That's what I work on. I do want to get back into the hot side, to be able to work on grills and ovens and all that too, so that I can do everything. Because that, like, when my side goes slow, his side is very busy, like, all the time. Like right now we have a bunch of fryers going out, pressure fryers and ovens, so he's been busy. Chris, thanks for all the videos you make and looking forward to more. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm trying to post as much as I can this month before the new year. And hopefully, I mean, as long as people keep tuning in, I will be on here as long as I can. But I appreciate that. I'll look into it, trying to absorb as much info as I can in different fields. I feel like the hot side is way easier. Hot side is cool. It's intimidating sometimes when I see what he does. But I feel like it's always like high limits. We have a lot of boards now, so a lot of control boards are going bad. Customers just abuse them. They're always having issues with the filter machines. I try to pay attention to all that stuff, and I do all the billing, so I'm always invoicing and then sending those out. I always have to read all the invoices and stuff, so I kind of know what they work on the most and all that. So I need to get back into it. I wouldn't do the troubleshooting. I would kind of do the maintenance stuff, like checking the temps on the grills and fryers. I don't know if that's still a thing with everything being digital now. And I used to replace like little things like the high limits, thermal piles, all that stuff. Handyman is a very good question. How many guys do you think are illegal in the sense that they do work without a license? That's why I was asking Angel on the stream when I had him on here. Are they strict in your area? Do they enforce anything? I feel like they do not around here. If like our guys, we've had guys that left our company and they actually try to do the side work on their own. They're not licensed. They were licensed because I was licensed, right? So under me, they can make purchases and all that and work. But then they go off on their own and they're already friends with the guys at the supply house. They were continuing to buy refrigerant so that they can keep doing work, buying parts, everything. It wasn't under our account anymore, but they were friends and they got away with it. I've seen it happen before. It's really about who you know sometimes. I wish it was enforced. I've only been asked for my license when I'm purchasing something like maybe once. Like all the other times, of course, I applied and I had to show it anyway. But randomly, I've only been asked for it like once. And they were trying to make sure that I was a contractor. I don't have my card right now. It's in the front. The good thing is they actually made them in Texas. They actually made the contractor one gold now, or a few years ago, because they all used to look the same. Whether you were registered, certified, or licensed, they were all the same color. They all looked the same. They just had the little wording was different. So, I mean, at least they made them gold. I can show mine and it's like, hey, I'm licensed or whatever, but a lot of people do work like that, or they get away with telling like IHOP, they wanted to hire maintenance. So the guys that applied were like, yeah, we have experience, but we don't have a license. And they hired them. IHOP has an account at these places like Johnstone or whatever, because they're such a big company. So those maintenance guys go and buy equipment and they go and do all this work under a company like that, like a restaurant. But they're not licensed. They're not anything. They just have a little experience because they know, or they got trained on the job, or they know somebody that does HVAC. And it happens. Richie, just finished loading the truck. I'm going to do the same as well. I really appreciate everybody who's still here. We've been running a god-awful long time. So I need to finish putting this back together. Hopefully I can film this for you in a nice video, and you'll see it on the weekend. So please, on your way out, remember to drop a like. If you have any questions, let me know. I will get to them when I can. Same thing in our area. It's a bad thing in our industry. I've mentioned it to a few guys, and it seems like it's like that in a lot of places. So it is what it is. I like to do things the right way. I have my license. I have everything I need, and I show it, when I can. So I appreciate everybody for coming in. And yeah, I have some videos coming out during the week, and then I have the van tour on the weekend. So stay tuned for that. See you guys. If I can.